Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the second part of our Kamishibai Storytime program with Yumi Izuyama. We are here for the second part of this program series. If you would like to see the first part where Yumi reads the story, The Boy and the Jaguar, you can find that on our Facebook page. But if you didn't see it, don't worry, Yumi is going to summarize it very briefly at the beginning of this program, and then you can go and watch the first part after today's session. Thank you for joining us. This program was brought to us by the library's Idea Space, which is generously funded by the Brookline Library Foundation and with federal funds provided by the Institute of Museum and Library Services and administered by the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners. We're going to be learning so many fun things today, all about animal adaptations, and I know that Yumi has a lot of fun crafts and activities in store for us. So I hope you all have a wonderful day and enjoy all of the fun.
Thank you. So for everyone new, I'm Yumi, and the program we're running together with Kendall. Kendall, you want to say hi?
Hi, everybody. I'm Kendall. I'm doing the STEM activities with Yumi's lovely, originally illustrated stories.
So just to refresh our memory, this program, the theme of this program is the rainforest and the animals that live in the rainforest. And just so you remember how lush the rainforest is, how many trees there are in the rainforest. You see how packed the rainforest is with trees. I've never been to the Amazon rainforest, which is really the biggest rainforest in the world. But I'm from Brazil, where this Amazon forest is mostly. And my family, my brothers and my father, they've been to the Amazon forest. And they told me that when you are inside the forest, it's so packed with trees that even during the day, you can hardly see the sky. So that's how the rainforest is full of trees, and it's a home for so many animals and plants and animals. And in the last program, I told you a story. Let me see to make sure that it fits in. Yeah, I told you a story that takes place in the Amazon forest and about the animals. And here is the picture of the scene of the story where all the animals are surrounding this boy who is a very special boy who loves the animals, loves the forest. And he went every day to the forest and sang to the animals. And they, as you can see, they sat still and listened to the boy sing very carefully, especially the jaguar. The jaguar loved it. And something happened. There was a fire, and the fire, fortunately, was not very big, and the people that live in the town next to the forest were able to put it out. But even though they were able to do that, the animals got very scared and they all ran away deep into the forest. 3 animals, however, went the other direction. Kendall, do you remember which animals they were?
The jaguar, that's that you picture sleeping right there. He went into the town.
Yeah.
And the anteater, he went into town.
Yeah.
So did the sloth. The sloth went into town. So
yes, these 3 went the other direction and they got lost in the town. They didn't know how to get out. And so people in the town decided to help them get back to the forest. They managed to get the sloths back to the forest. How did they do? Do you remember, Kendall?
Well, they used their heads. They didn't chase the sloth. The sloth moves really slow anyway. And so they thought, how will we get it back to the forest? And they looked at the sloth features of the big claws and the way the sloth likes to hang on the vine, like this vine up here. So,
or like here.
So they thought, let's get a broomstick or a stick, and they caught the sloth. The sloth wanted to hold on to the stick because it was a natural adaptation that the sloth has, is to hold on and hang upside down. So that was the way they got the sloth to come with them, was to offer them something that looked like a branch, and then they slowly walked the sloth out to the forest.
That's right. How about the anteater? How did they manage?
Well, they looked at the anteater's features, which we all knew from last time, are from your, I have it out here, the big nose. And so they looked at the nose and the long tongue, and they thought, how the anteater must be hungry. Maybe we can feed the anteater something that it usually gets in the forest that's not getting in the town. So they gave him a pail with ants, and the anteater stuck his nose and a sticky tongue. And while he was eating thousands of ants, they lifted him up and brought him back gently to the forest.
Yes. How about the jaguar? Did they know how to get the jaguar back to the forest?
Well, no, the jaguar was actually growling and scared of the people. And so the more the people tried to move the jaguar, they tried to use sticks, and the farmers used tools. And the jaguar thought that was threatening. So he got more scared and he kept growling at them. And so it was the boy who thought, how can I get the jaguar to come with me? And he thought, oh, the jaguar listens to my singing, which we did last time in the first show, singing an Amazon's tune. And of course, the jaguar fell right asleep and was calmed down. And then the boy was able to walk him back to the forest, a happy jaguar.
Yes, the boy continued to sing, and the jaguar just followed the boy because he loved to hear the boy singing. So, there are many different ways to understand this story, of course, but one important message that we can think, especially for this program, is that the way they managed to help these animals is to know their features, to know what they like to do, what they like to eat, what is important to them. Knowing about animals help us live better with them. So that's a very important message that we can take from this story, is that we want to learn about these about the animals that live everywhere, actually, so that we can live in harmony with them, in balance with them. And so let's think a little bit more the features so we want to learn about these animals. And last week, we learned about, in more depth, about two animals, the jaguar and the anteater. So let's refresh our memory about these two animals and think a little bit about adaptation, which is a very important word that I would like you to understand today. So we're going to go back here. So here is the jaguar and the many different features of the jaguar. Adaptation is really Kendall, do you want to show it?
Sure.
I'm sorry, I have to stop sharing for you to be able to show that. Can you read it?
Adaptation, adaptation, is a very important word. It's how people survive. It's how animals survive. So if there's a challenge to our survival, we adapt and we find a way, either naturally over time, like a long nose, or through behavior. So we think of ways to meet the challenge. So go on, Yumi, Zumi.
Yes, so there are two big types of adaptation. One is physical, which is related to the body. So let's look at the jaguar. The jaguar, so let's look at the features of the jaguar, the body features. The jaguar has very muscular body, very strong body, and very strong jaws. And why is that important? What kind of adaptation that is for the jaguar to live well in the Amazon forest? Jaguars, they eat other animals. They are carnivores, right? So to be very muscular and to have strong jaws is very important for them to be able to catch their food, yet catch their prey. And also they have very sharp claws. And the claws, also it's a physical adaptation that help them grab their prey and also grab branches so they can climb trees. And so if an animal climb up the tree, he can follow after it, right? And also sharp fangs. Fangs are these very, very sharp, big teeth. And those are also physical adaptations. How about the eyes? What are the special feature of the eyes? Kendall, can you tell us?
The jaguar can see really well at night in the dark. So that way he or she can stalk prey and catch prey at night.
Yes, they can hunt at night. And hunting at night has its advantage because other animals may not be able to see as well, or they might be sleeping. They might be off guard. And so that's when they can sneak and catch a prey. Now, there is another feature which is also very interesting in physical adaptation for the jaguar is the fur. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Kendall?
Sure. And I want to remind those of you watching that you can take a paper and marker and try to draw this jaguar. It's a beautiful creature, but when you think of a jaguar, the most distinctive feature are the spots on the fur and the different colors, and it blends in so well. Yumi has the arrow pointed to the bottom picture where you could barely even see the jaguar in the bushes because the spots just blend right in with all the shadows from the leaves in the jungle, so in the forest, so at the Amazon. So the spots are actually camouflage. It's a French word for blending in. So go ahead, Yumi.
Yeah, and now let's think a little bit about some behavior adaptation. So what the things that they do to adapt in the environment. In the case of the jaguar, do we see here, for instance, the jaguar swimming, right?
That's right.
And he is very good at swimming, apparently. And not many cats, like other cats such as lions, tigers, they don't really like to swim, but the jaguars are very comfortable in the water and they swim a lot. And why is that good? What does it help the jaguar?
I know, Yumi, because they eat fish when there's no other creatures around. That helps their diet.
Yes, they're able to eat fish. They're able to, maybe there are some animals that run into the river to get away from the jaguar, but the jaguar can still continuously follow that prey. or sometimes just to be able to cross from one side to the other. So they have a bigger territory, they have a bigger space, a bigger home for them to live. Yeah. So these
and also in the Amazon, it's a rainforest, right, Yumi?
Yes, rainforest.
This is an unusual.
It rains a lot. It floods. And so there are very often big patches of water, not just the big river, but swamps and lakes and ponds and, so it's very wet. That's why we say it rainforest.
And in all that humidity, the cat is still a furry creature, but the fur must be there to protect the cat at night when it's cold and wet.
That's true. It must be also an important feature for them to not feel cold. And swimming in the water cools them down when it's really hot. So that's also true. Works for them. Yeah. Now let's look at the anteater, because that was another animal that we looked last time. And here is the anteater. The anteater.
They're so funny looking.
I'm sorry?
It's a funny looking creature.
It's a very funny looking creature. That's true. They actually don't have very good vision, but they really have a very good sense of smell. And that's very important. They can apparently even tell which kind of ant it is by just putting their snout in the anthill. So they have very good sense of smell. They have a very, very long nose, snout, and the nose at the end, right? And why is that good? What kind of physical? That's a physical adaptation. And how does it help the anteater?
Because the anteater has an anthill. So if you look at our little.
Shall I stop the sharing so you can show the?
Oh, no, we'll do that later. But an anthill is a big, huge, hard as clay type of hill. And the people don't realize that an anteater has to, with its claws, tear open the top of that hill. And then it's a very narrow hole down. So the nose of an anteater is long and thin, so it can reach down into that hole, and then the tongue is sticky so that it can suck up tens of thousands of insects and ants at a time.
Yes. So the combination of the very long snout and the very, very long sticky tongue, they really can eat a lot of ants, which they need to eat, right? Because they're big and ants are so tiny. If you just eat one ant, that's nothing. Yeah. And they also have very sharp claws. Like Kendall said, these anthills or the mounds where termites live, they're very hard. And to break these anthills, you do need sharp claws. How about the very bushy, big tail? How does that help the anteater? Can you say something about that, Kendall?
Sure. I see that on the bottom picture that we're sharing, the bushy tail part, it doesn't even look like an animal. It's all curled up, the anteater. And the bushy tail helps to protect and warm him or her in the cold night. And also it's the same color, camouflage, as the background of where it's sleeping. So it blends, the bushy tail helps to cover him up completely so to protect from a predator. So anyone hunting an anteater would have a hard time finding an anteater if all they see is brown from a distance.
Yes. And also the bushy tail, when it's really hot and the sun is strong, it works as a shade. So it's really useful, isn't it? It can be almost like when we use hats. Yeah. That's what they use, this bushy tail. And then when we use jackets, that's also, so it's like a combination of the two, this bushy tail. And the bushy tail also helps them stand up on their hind legs. As you can see on the picture in the corner here where I'm pointing, they can stand up, and the reason why they can stand up, the bushy tail helps them sort of balance. And with the front paws that are freed, they can access termites that are hidden higher up. They can also use the claws to defend from other animals, like maybe a jaguar can attack an anteater, and the anteater can defend itself with these sharp claws. So those are all physical adaptations. How about, let's talk about a little bit about some behavior adaptation. Can you say something about that, Kendall?
About the anteater?
Yes, a behavior adaptation. There's one which is really very interesting that we found out.
And that is the anteater can suck up 35,000 ants or termites at a single snort, but they always leave behind enough for later on. They never completely eat all the ants in the anthill.
Yes, they don't completely destroy the anthill. Huh? They
right.
keep, especially the nest.
Right, so they keep the nest intact when they could easily wreck the nest, couldn't they? With that big tail and the big claws and the big nose and the big.
They could basically eat up all the ants, but they don't. And so that they can come up maybe the next day and eat a bit more. And also, it might be not even him or her. It could be another anteater. Yeah.
But so that's an interesting behavior, Yumi, because what that does is that lets all the anteaters survive, and it lets the ants survive too. So things stay in balance the next day, the next season, and even for baby anteaters that come along.
That's right. Yeah, that's a very important feature, isn't it? To think about, so that we can live in balance with other animals. Shall we do another guessing game? Yeah, we can learn a few more animals that way.
And these are all animals in the Amazon that we're watching.
Yes, we're going to do
up a habitat of that was the Amazon River and the Amazon plants and the huge diversity of Amazon animals.
Yes, that's right. We're just going to do a few clips, and then we're going to do the activity. Kendall will show how we did the activity. So let's see. Let's go to.
So we're going to guess an animal by the sound.
Yes, we're going to listen very carefully. We're going to watch very carefully, find hints to guess which animal it is. And here it goes. Start here. Here we go. This is how I sound. I live mainly on trees, seldom going down to the ground of the forest. I like to eat leaves, shoots, and fruit. I have 4 legs and a furry coat. I don't like to waste my energy moving busily around like many animals do. I like to stay quiet and sleep most of the time hanging on trees. I use my long claws to firmly grip the branches of the trees so I don't fall down. Who am I? Can you guess? So, can you guess, Kendall?
Well, let's think. It's not a fish because it has 4 legs, and so that can't be anything with butterfly, macaw, the toucan. Those are all out. But there's a lot of other things left with 4 legs. But let's see. It moves very slowly. That could be a turtle too, but it hangs and the turtle can't hang. And the tapir and the capybara can't hang. And the anteater can't hang. The anaconda snake could hang, but it doesn't have 4 legs, right? So we're trying to think about all the animals left. That would still be the monkey or the sloth. And what was the other hint that we talked about? The sound. We were listening to the sound.
We listened to the sound, and also we said that it doesn't like to move. It doesn't like to move busily.
Then it's got to be the sloth, because the sloth is very slow. And
That's right.
One at the zoo.
Yeah. So it is the sloth. And so
if we made a sloth, if you drew your own sloth with paper and pen.
That's the anteater.
That's an anteater. Here's a sloth. So
yes,
Yumi had included in one of the links something you could print out, or you could actually do your own sloth. This is like a sloth hanging with its white arms. And it would be hanging. Where would it be hanging? Would it be hanging in this is an Amazon habitat that we colored in. That's part of the link. There's the river, and there's all the plants and all the different kinds of places it could hide. But look how it stands out. Do you think it would get caught if it was sitting in here in the deep green? Yumi?
Oh, if it was sitting in the deep green, yes, because the sloth is so slow moving and can't really walk or let alone run. So he will be very vulnerable there.
So he would probably climb a tree up slowly, and he would hang in the tree. If he hung in this tree, would he be hiding very much though? Would he stand out?
Well, in this picture, the color of the sloth would be more blending with the vine. Yeah. I think so. Sometimes the trees will have similar color to the sloth, and then the sloth will really blend into the tree as well. It can happen. And that's a very important feature of the sloth, that it camouflages. And it has this grayish, greenish color, a little bit of tint of green, which also looks like the tree, the trunk, and the leaves of the tree. And so, and then if they don't move and stay quiet still, then the predators, they think that it's just part of the tree. And that's a combination of a physical adaptation, the fur, the color of the fur, and the behavior adaptation, which is to stay still. And that's a very important feature of the sloth. Shall we look at one more video?
Yes, let's do that. I would love to see the next one. My eyes are ready and my ears are ready to listen.
All right, let's do one more guessing. I'm going to just hold on a second. All right, so here is another one, and I'm going to play it. People say I am one of the noisiest birds in the rainforest. Listen. Although I am a bird, I more often hop from tree to tree than fly. I often live on abandoned holes in trees made by other birds, such as woodpeckers. My feathers are black, and I'm famous for my enormous brightly colored bill. It's so big that it can be half of the length of my body. My bill is very useful to grab fruit hanging on trees, which is what I like to eat. I also like to eat birds' eggs and even small birds. Who am I? Can you guess? So, you want to guess again, Kendall?
Yeah, and all of you out there, help me out now. So the hint was, it sounded like a bird, it flew. It flew. So if it flew, it has wings, and it has a bill, which is also a beak. So let's look at the animals. That rules out all the ones with 4 legs, and that's a lot of them on this. And let's see. So the only ones left would be the snake, the anaconda snake, the fish, the piranha, the morpho butterfly. Those are ruled out because they don't make that kind of sound that we heard.
And actually in the video, it said, I'm a bird.
Oh, and they don't have a beak, which is also called a bill.
Yes.
Oh, and they don't eat fruit, the big hanging fruit, which they must use the beak to eat. So it's got to be either the macaw, parrot, or the toucan. And I see the toucan has a really long beak. So I'm going to say the toucan.
Yes, it's the toucan because of the big beak. Yeah, the bill, that's really the what marks the toucan. I want to show you just because I think the toucans are beautiful animals.
Yes.
And I think it's worth looking at a picture of one. So I want to share with you a picture of a toucan. It's
Wow.
beautiful, isn't it?
Wow.
And so looking at this, let's think about adaptation again and think about the features of the toucan and the physical. Let's first look at the physical adaptation. And so first, what physical adaptations? How about the bill? Why does this big, enormous bill help the toucan?
Well, you said that the toucan was eating that fruit, and the fruit is hard to open. Mm-hmm. So if they didn't have that big, long bill to crack open the fruit and nuts, they would not be able to eat very well. So
that's true. That's a really important aspect of that big bill. It's also another thing that does is that toucans are pretty big birds. And so, sometimes the fruits are hanging somewhere in a little kind of, already, a thin branch that if the toucan hops on it, it might be hard. But because he might fall, the branch might, the twig, right, might break. But he can still stay in a bigger branch and reach out to these fruits or bird eggs or things that the toucan eats from a place that he is safe because the bill is so big and long. Also the bill is where they sweat. So they control, if it's too hot, they sweat. On the bill is where they release their energy, and so they keep cool. Yeah. And so that's very important also in Amazon forest where it can be very hot. And at night.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Those are all natural adaptations that the toucans have developed over time.
For a very long time, for a very, very long time. It's the physical adaptation of the toucan. And the toucan also at night, to keep himself warm, he curls up and tucks in his bill in the feather, and that way they sleep. And that's a behavior adaptation, right? That they know that the beak is where the energy is released. So when they're cold, that's what they do. They tuck in their beak.
I can think of another behavioral adaptation that toucan has, because it's black. And I thought that the toucan was colored from the Fruit Loops box, but that's not a real toucan. So the toucan in the wild in the Amazon is all black body. So when I was coloring it with the fun things that Yumi has provided us with, the different animals to color and the habitat of the Amazon to color, I was trying to match where would that toucan live. And when I did, I realized that it was using someone else's hole. It was using someone else's hole in the tree. Remember, Yumi said it was the woodpecker nest, an abandoned woodpecker nest. So the toucan uses other animals' holes, and it blends in with its black body with that hole so that it can hide in the hole as well and have its babies.
That's true. So that's a behavior adaptation. They find a place, a safe place for them to live. And so, yeah, Kendall, let's, I would like you to really work on, show us the picture, the coloring activity. We have a link.
Yes.
If you want to print out, you can print it out. There are all these animals that are already drawn, and you can cut them out,
Yeah.
right? And you can color them.
And put them on popsicle sticks if you want and play with them, see where they
yes.
habitat.
Yes, so Kendall has already colored.
Or you can make your own. I mean, it's fun to actually take them and put a glue stick, and then where would you hide where would you hide him?
Yes, in the link, there is also this page, which is black and white. You can print it out horizontally like this. And then you can color it, and Kendall has a beautiful colored scene.
Oh, there we go. So I would play with the different kinds. This is a macaw. There's all kinds of different Amazon ones. And there's one I would love to, if we have time, Yumi, to talk about. The fun one is the tamarin lion monkey.
Yes, the golden lion tamarin monkey. That's and one thing I want to tell you, so that we are exact. These monkeys, tiny, they're very, very small monkeys. They actually live, here we say they live in the lowland coastal area of the Amazon forest. But to be more exact, they actually live in Brazil. We call it Mata Atlântica, which is, there's the Amazon forest, and then there is this coastal forest that goes all around the coastal area of Brazil. And that's where they really live. And they are actually endangered. They are very, very few of these monkeys, because in this coastal area, there are a lot of cities. And so the forest is really decreasing, has decreased a lot. And so their habitat, their space where they live, have been really shrunk. And so that's one thing. But yes, we also included in the sheet this animal.
And what's interesting, recently it was brought to light that forestry engineers had a great idea to help a technology and a tool to help the monkey survive. They had built a highway between the two parts of the forest that this monkey needed to travel and find its food. So
yes, let me show you the picture of that, because I think it's really great. Here is a picture of this passageway that they created over a railroad. And so in this way, the animals can go and, pass from one side of the forest to the other without being hurt, run over the train or something like that. Yeah. These kind of passageways, special passageways that forest engineers they build, they design. Yeah, they they're everywhere in the world now. Here is one in the U.S. in Montana. So it's not just in Brazil. We want to keep these animals happy everywhere because they don't live just in the Amazon forest. There's so many different kinds of animals living everywhere with us. Do you want to show just a little bit more the coloring activity, or shall we continue?
I think we're running out of time, but I do want to show what happens. And Yumi, what happens in the story is these 390 billion trees that are in the Amazon that make up the forest are a lot like our own forests up here in North America, but we're in South America for this story. And if the trees start to get cut down or burned too much, and there's no balance perspective, what happens to do you think, to the greenery and all the trees and the habitat down in Brazil? And this
the habitat will change dramatically. It will start to become much drier. And the animals took so long to adapt to their humid rainforest. And now they have to adapt to something else. And they will lose their homes. And there might not be enough time for them to adapt. They might start dying out. So
look at the anthill. The anthill that we saw the anteater would eat, all the ants would go away and it would turn black, and there would be no way for the anteater to eat the insects. So once the trees are gone and the water starts to disappear, and the rainforest, it becomes a dry desert, Sahara kind of place eventually.
Eventually, in the long run. But yes, there is that trend, right, that of becoming drier and drier. So it's very important for us to keep these forests healthy, clean, and that's true with all the woods that are near us. We have so many animals that live in our woods. Like, which are the animals that live in our woods?
I can think of squirrels, I can see birds. What about Brookline, Yumi, and Cambridge? I'm in a different town in Massachusetts because we're Zooming.
Well, I see a lot of squirrels. I live in Cambridge, and I see a lot of squirrels, which I imagine in Brookline too. Rabbits, maybe.
And they've adapted, Yumi, they've all adapted to living with humans in different ways, but we've adapted to not to let the squirrels live in our trees, right? If we don't cut all the trees down and we leave
exactly
these animals.
If we keep the trees, if we keep some green. I want to show you just one picture very quickly. I took this morning of a rabbit in my garden, and look at the rabbit holding all this grass and standing there. So this is what we want to keep them, be able to get their food and live together with us. Yeah. So
the rabbit is adapted to human by standing. It will stay still behaviorally. It will stay still, and you can't see it. It will blend right in, especially
right
in his mouth, right into the.
Yeah. So that's the last message that we want to give you, is to make sure that we don't destroy the nature completely. It's very important because this is a home for all of us. For us, even if the animals and the plants help us also to survive. Kendall, do you want to say something about adaptation? Yeah.
Yes, and if you're interested in learning more about adaptation, humans have all kinds of technical tools that we've used to adapt as well. Masks at COVID time. Even this looks like an anteater's nose, but I used it for my turkey. I cracked my own nuts and fruit with this, and so I don't have a beak like my toucan. But we went through a lot of different adaptations, and it's fun when you're drawing to look at the different animals and species and think about the different features And we have this sheet right here that we'll send in a link with this program. And it's a fun follow-up for teachers, parents, and kids to sit and describe what is that special feature. You could do your own habitat about the Boston area and do North American forest and describe what you see and the different features that animals have adapted to survive up here. So adaptations in our heads as well for technology, and that's a good thing. We can think of ways to solve problems that way.
Yes, that's wonderful. And I think we are sort of at the end of our program. I wanted to
thank the Brookline Public Library and Idea Space. What a wonderful time to be able to go online with their resources.
Yes, thank you so much for hosting us. And I hope to see you soon again.
Bye-bye.
Bye.